get with it, people. Hey, from Monday through Thursday, I'm dead on my feet. Most of the time, I'm too tired to eat. When I try to read the paper, I fall fast asleep. As soon as Friday rolls around, I lay on my weekday books down. I put on my glove rags and pay the time. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, yeah, yeah. 'Cause that's when I party down. Party down. Party hard. Party down.
Welcome back to the Weekend Warrior, boys and girls. It is going to be a shorter than usual column this week, both video and print. At least that's the plan. I'm recording this on Sunday night, and on Monday morning, I'm going to Los Angeles for 2 days. I'll be back on a Wednesday. So I'm trying to get as much done as possible before I head out, because I know that I'm going to be either on a plane or doing stuff out in LA, and probably won't be able to record or write as much as usual. Hope that's okay, but we'll start with just going over the past weekend, which was definitely better than October, but not great. As you can see behind me, the two main movies for the weekend were The Running Man from Paramount Pictures and Now You See Me, Now You Don't from Lionsgate. Many people thought it was going to be neck and neck. I thought it was pretty close. I actually thought The Running Man would do better. I was wrong. Not the first time. Won't be the last. Now You See Me, Now You Don't actually pulled out a win. They both were released in a similar amount of theaters this weekend, about 3,400 to 3,500 theaters. They both came into the weekend with similar reviews. The Running Man came out a little ahead with 64% on Rotten Tomatoes, while Now You See Me, Now You Don't was at 59%. And if you look at the audience scores, or the popcorn meters, if you will, they're both around 80%, 81%. If you look at then the cinema score, which was reported on Friday night, they both got B+. Audiences, critics, they were both kind of in the same boat, both of them, but for whatever reason, they were Edgar Wright directed The Running Man with Glenn Powell, just didn't connect with audiences as well as Now You See Me, Now You Don't, which was an ensemble magic action comedy. Now You See Me, Now You Don't was the third movie in a franchise that hadn't had a new movie in about 10 years. Now You See Me, Now You Don't ended up with $20.3 million for the weekend, averaging $6,259 per theater, while The Running Man ended up with $17 million. If it had opened over $20 million, it might not have been seen as so bad. At least both of them beat Predator Badlands in its second weekend. It dropped 68% down to $13 million. Kind of surprising, considering it was received pretty well, both by critics and by audiences. Regretting You ended up with $4 million for the weekend to take fourth place, followed by Blackthorn 2 in fifth place with $2.6 million. These movies are both have been out for a few weeks now. They're still bringing in audiences. They also beat Osgood Perkins' Keeper from Neon, which was released into 1,950 theaters, and it only made $2.5 million. It was a very big disappointment for Neon. He had a big hit with Longlegs last year and a pretty decent-sized hit with The Monkey earlier this year, but Keeper was just a flop. It ended up with a D+ cinema score, which is oddly is the same as Ari Aster's Hereditary did a few years ago, but that also made a lot more money. Other movies that have gotten to D+ cinema score include Die My Love, the Jennifer Lawrence Rob Pattinson movie from last week. Keeper is pretty much dead in the water. It opens in sixth place, $2.5 million. It's not going to stay in theaters very long. And after that, we have Nuremberg with $2.4 million, Sarah's Oil, $2.3, Begonia and Chainsaw Man, both with $1.6 million. And that pretty much wraps up the top 10. It was not a great weekend, considering that it's like November, it's the holiday season now. It used to be that studios would open bigger movies earlier in November, but now they're getting pushed later and later back. In general, I was pretty spot on with Now You See Me. I maybe was a little low on my prediction. I was high on The Running Man, and I was very high on Keeper. I think I predicted $7 million for Keeper, and it made like a third of that. This is not a terrible weekend, but also we're looking at this being November. The holiday season has started, and most studios are now waiting until Thanksgiving the week before to release the bigger movies.
Alpha Withrop, I know you're out here. Just come in before the monkeys spot you.
There's no going back.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about Wicked for Good, the sequel to last year's blockbuster Wicked. Generally, it's basically going to be this exact same analysis last year, except that this is a sequel. And we already know how much the movie made last year. There's really nothing much else to talk about. We don't have to talk about Cynthia Erivo again. We don't have to talk about Ariana Grande. We talked about them last year. They're both bigger stars now than they were last year, although Ariana Grande is a pretty big star. And then everyone else is pretty much the same from the last movie. Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Yeoh. Last year, Wicked opened with $112.5 million on the same weekend. They ended up grossing $474 million in North America and $282 million overseas for $756.4 million globally. That was a decent-sized hit for Universal. They're hoping that the sequel will open even bigger because the first movie did so well. The reviews for Wicked for Good won't hit until Tuesday sometime. I expect them to be pretty decent or on par with the first movie. The first movie received 88% on the tomato meter from critics and 95% from the popcorn meter theater from fans. The latter is a bigger number because that's basically going to say that the fans who saw the first movie loved it. They're going to be rushing out to see the second movie even sooner. So while the first movie opened with 112 million, this movie could probably open with well over 150 million. I'm even thinking maybe 170 million and maybe even more. At one point, I thought it might make 200 million or more opening weekend, but I'm kind of backing off a little bit on that. It's still going to do really well. All the fans of the first movie are going to see the second movie. It might hold over well over Thanksgiving weekend, even though it's facing Zootopia 2, another sequel. That one being a sequel to a movie from many, many years ago. So maybe there's even more anticipation. But right now, we're looking at definitely 150 million this weekend for Wicked for Good. Probably closer to 170 million, maybe higher.
So, what do you think we do here?
We sell emotion.
How?
We play roles in clients' lives. Parents, siblings, boyfriends, girlfriends, best friends, and help them connect to what's missing.
I'm just an actor. I don't know how to help people.
What I'm offering here is a chance to play roles with real meaning.
What do you need me for?
We need a token white guy.
As I said before, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the other movies opening this weekend, just because Wicked for Good is pretty much going to dominate everything else. There are some new movies, semi-wide, pretty wide. Searchlight Pictures is releasing Rental Family starring Brendan Fraser in about 1,600 theaters, and then Sony Screen Gems is releasing the sequel, SISU, Road to Revenge, into about 2,000 theaters. These are both movies that have some potential. SISU is a sequel to a movie that opened with 3.3 million. It's a Finnish movie. The original Sisu opened in 2023 to about 3.3 million. It's a Finnish action movie that didn't get a ton of business in theaters, but presumably it found an audience on streaming. Rental Family is definitely a bit of a gamble. It's a really sweet. Rental Family is a bit of a gamble. It's a sweet comedy with dramatic moments. It's all set in Tokyo, Japan. It has Brendan Fraser in a really nice role. Played at TIFF and maybe a couple smaller festivals, so it should have some good word of mouth. It doesn't necessarily have enough to compete with Wicked for Good for that kind of family audience or for women, but maybe it'll get like an older audience maybe than some of the other movies this week. Sisu will just basically be for guys, mostly guys who saw the first movie, guys who like action movies, and the big problem is it's opening after 2 action movies already in theaters. So having another action movie opening the second weekend of The Running Man and of that Now You See Me, Now You Don't is not the greatest idea. Even if they both drop, Sisu's still going to have a tough time finding an audience. I mean, at least Now You See Me, Now You Don't has really good word of mouth. Predator Badlands still has really good word of mouth. So there's a lot of options for guys in theaters right now. Sisu Road to Revenge is going to have a tough time. Even though it's opening in almost twice as many theaters as the first movie, it might not make more than like 3 or 4 million itself. Rental Family, probably about the same range. These are both movies that are probably going to be outside the top 4. I would give it slight advantage to Rental Family, just because there's a lot more word of mouth for it. Sisu, as far as I know, no one's seen it. There are no reviews out, while Rental Family has a lot of really good reviews out so far. Either way, they'll probably be like number 5, number 6. Rental Family, Sisu. But otherwise, this is going to be a pretty quiet weekend other than Wicked. Wicked's going to be the big story for the weekend. The other movies might not even get mentioned. And then next week we have Thanksgiving, so there's a lot more to talk about there.